I booked you. What's up?
Hey man, you got
He's awesome.
You got to book Washport Slim and the Blue Lights, man.
When do I got you? Next month, 4/7.
Yeah, this is my band right here.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you something, Connecticut maniacs.
Yeah.
Capo Frankie B taking you to the top of the mountain, man. So what you gonna do when the cellar on Treadwell runs wild on you?
Let me see, sir. Yeah, you got one.
Welcome to the affirmative action portion of the show.
Give me your card, man.
Question.
What?
For the
My
room.
card. Give me your card.
I don't have a card.
Have you ever not punched somebody in the face and then 8 months later thought, maybe I
What's your
should?
name?
Not making a statement. Just asking
I
questions.
talked to you.
Such as? We're all familiar with fuck, marry, kill, right? Is it just me? Does that sound less like a word association game and more like the timeline of a toxic relationship? Not making a statement. Just asking questions. See, questions are fine. Statements? Yeah, they get weird. Such as? It was once proposed to me by Jill Scott that white women were stealing the brothers. Based on what I know about how stealing works, that's an inanimate object taken from somebody that by someone doesn't belong to. Is Jill Scott trying to say that we are inanimate objects? Not making a statement. Just asking questions. Yeah, he gets the statement part wrong. Okay, you know what? Every side has two arguments. So let's humor that. Most of you, in fact, all of you might know this. White people. At one time, y'all used to own us. Ladies. Let's say Jill Scott is correct. Are you stealing or just taking back what's yours? Not making a statement. Just asking questions. Because Jill Scott's not correct, you see. That takes a little bit more requirement on our part. We're not being stolen. If anything, we are subjecting ourselves willingly to abduction. It's not fair to paint us as weak-minded individuals, not fair to white women to be painted as African-American male-stealing kleptomaniacs. And I'm only half qualified to make that argument. It might be hard to tell because I'm right now the whitest sounding person in Connecticut. But don't be fooled. I'm only half black. I'm also part Spanish. A Nigerican, if you will. And if you will, please don't. This is the reason why I'll never visit the White House no matter who's in charge. I'm half afraid I'm gonna get shot on the lawn, and I'm half afraid I'm gonna have to mow it. It's not a good day in DC. Children. Why? What's the point? At this current day society, why bother? Oh, I'm making a statement now. Look, I know what you're probably thinking. Great, I'm a tall guy that hates kids. It's not fair. I'm not even that tall. And look, kids, they're fine. They're like drugs. If you live in New Jersey. You might like having them around, but do you want any in your house? You have to look at somebody and say, yeah, those are mine. No, but what about them? They don't have much of a choice in coming here. Do they deserve to be subjected to this? Here's what you do. Institute an international embryonic poll. Go find some bellies. Find out how the children of tomorrow feel about dealing with overpriced healthcare, divisive politics, and people who thought that Attack of the Clones wasn't that bad. All I'm saying is, before you have children, think of the children. I have. That's why I don't have any. I'm doing my part. I've been practicing virginism for 35 years. And in 2 days, I'll be 36. So in 4 years, I'll be the perfect candidate for the 40-Year-Old Virgin sequel. The cultural reverse edition. We're back. He's black, and he's kept it all in the sack. The downside is I'm terrible at dirty talk. You asked me, what do I think of 69? Great summer? People get weirded out when they realize how much of an aging millennial I am. But I'm not saying I'm old. I'm not saying that. I'm not over the hill, but I can see the top of it from here. That's why when people say, oh, you're so wise beyond your years. What years? When your existence on Earth predates both The Simpsons and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you've got no years to be wise beyond. In fact, by certain standards, you've already been here too long. At this point, my current status in life is, yeah, pretty much. And look, by age standpoint, I got maybe some time to go, but everything that I've had to look up in the Urban Dictionary in the past week tells me that things ain't what they used to be. I never wanted to be one of those, oh, I remember the old days, and these kids, man. I never was gonna be that guy until people walked around saying things like swag and fleek and fuck boy. That last one is okay. They exist and we should be aware of them. But do not say that word around Catholic priests. That is how you become an accomplice. I come to you as a native of Dorchester, Massachusetts. And you're right to not applaud that because I'm only alive because I no longer live there. And some people get offended by that. They think I'm taking a dig at the dot. So I like to make them feel better by reminding them of where I live now. Somewhere between MIT and Northeastern University. You call it a rags to riches story, I call it a rags to gentrification story. Karma. Do you know what you've done in a past life to wake up every day living Sturl Drive adjacent? Sturl Drive. Those two words, if you've ever driven a car in Boston, should be triggering your PTSD right now. That's where I am. You want to park your car in Harvard Yard? You can't. There's no such thing as available parking in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There are 2 rules of parking in my neighborhood. You either can't or you don't. Now I miss Dorchester. There's a place to park your car in Dorchester. You might not be there the next morning. But there's a place to park it. Small victories matter. While living in Dot, I did learn a thing by design. America spent a ton of time, resource, and MTV music video money trying to convince me that pimping ain't easy. Who knew? You know what else isn't easy? Being pimped. But nobody talks about that side of the labor dispute. So I'm living in Dorchester at a time period where I learned a very valuable answer to the question nobody ever asked. What's more difficult to try to spend? Bitcoin as a currency or time with your family? Picture it, building Lego towers in your finest Oshkosh Bagashas. And suddenly a tall person stands over you saying, hey Lloyd, you know why black people have nothing but nightmares? Because the last black person that had a dream got shot for it. So I'm 5, and I don't know what he's talking about at this point, but I'm pretty sure that's not the first thing I'm supposed to know about him. So I go back to building my Lego towers like my grandfather isn't there. Yeah, he said that. My grandfather. I wish I could tell you I wrote that. Worse, it happened. 2 years later, he comes in the living room, same living room. This time my cousin, also in his learning years and hearing this shit, says, "Hey Lloyd, never have a conflict with a schizophrenic person. And if you do, don't ever say to them, who the hell do you think you are?" There's two problems here. Not only is he saying that to me and my cousin before we turned 10, but my grandfather's pretty much written half my set at this point. And my cousin is sitting next to me and leans into me saying, "I think now would be a good time to leave." And we did. Into the streets of Dorchester. Safer place to be at that point than around adults. He wasn't the only one doing weird things at that time. My parents said, "You know what, Dorchester's getting too dangerous. We need to go." I said, "Okay, where are we going?" They said, "Roxbury." You ever had a lateral move done residentially? Here's what I learned in Roxbury. Not a thug. Me? No, I don't thug well. My first mistake was doing a drug deal thing wrong in 1997. Second mistake was calling it a drug deal thing. Okay, Lloyd, use the code word. All right, here's your free base. Ball. Oh, God. That's why I live in the South End now. Because at least if I make that mistake again, I live close enough to Fenway Park to tie it in as a reference. So I just stayed inside and played N64 because the streets were not for me. I didn't choose thug life. Thug life said no to me. You Tinder people might call that a mutual swipe left. I'm not on Tinder because even my self-hatred has standards. So I sit there, playing N64, and suddenly my mother comes in saying, "Hey Lloyd, your aunt's on the phone, got some news for you." "Not now, Mom." "You see that? That's called N64. What do you know about that?" "Nothing." "But you're gonna ruin my progress coming in here with your family and your phone calls and your so-called advice. Step aside!" Now, if you thought that was rude, so did she. "HP, Auntie, hurry up. Lloyd, I know you're going to high school next year. I need you to remember that sex is just like a bridge game." Weird follow-up question, but come again. "Sex is just like a bridge game. You don't need a partner if you got a good hand." That'll be all, Mother. Take it away. I didn't write that. She said it. I told that joke at the North End across from the garden one day, and she was in the audience. She said, "Yep, that was me." You wonder why we grow up thinking the way we do. Conventional comedy wisdom says to write what you know. My conventional wisdom says, what the fuck do I know? I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning with these two thoughts. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's way too early in the morning for it to be this late at night. And secondly, what the fuck do I know? I don't even believe in reincarnation. Although I probably did in the past life. And people who tell me, "Hey man, you need to stay woke." I'm an insomniac. I'm on it. Rest assured. And while you're resting assured, please enjoy it, because we don't rest much at all. Next time someone says, "Stay woke" on the internet, we should sue. If not for cultural appropriation, gimmick infringement. But we don't bother. We don't have the energy. We didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I had to follow a magician, so I guess I should say something dark. Has anybody been to Texas recently? That's the right amount of people. That question did feel differently a long time ago before certain policy changes were made. Now I know that everything is bigger in Texas, including the fucking nerve. All I'm saying is that I knew people 20 years ago who did nothing but invest in sound software, and not one of them had that much audacity. One person used sound software in 2000. I'll take it. Now here's my beef with Texas. They're missing 49 other stars on their flag. I find that offensive as a patriot. But the rational human being in me can relate to that. Because if I had to give society right now a Yelp review, 1 Texas flag out of 5. 1 lone star. Me and Texas got that. We got that. Somewhere I have been, Florida. 2003, different time. And if you look at 2 years ago in a place I like to call hindsight, where everything was going wrong and everything was going terrible, and people were literally saying in Florida, why would you want to come down here right now? Come on, it's a pandemic. In 2003, I was saying, why would you want to come down here? Come on, it's Florida. Some things never change. And I'm not afraid to take a shot at my own territory. I got a lot of friends in East Boston. I don't know why either. But at that point, people were saying all the time, why would you want to come here? Come on, it's a pandemic. I'm saying, why would you want to go to Revere Beach? Come on, it's Revere Beach. 2020 couldn't make things any worse than they already were. That's a positive. Aside from the fact that it was a great year for bread making enthusiasts. The only thing that was rising quicker than COVID cases was yeasts and ovens around the world. Optimism. Optimism. We all took up new languages. Some of us learned Mandarin. Some of us learned Chinese. Everybody became very fluent in Hayden Carol Baskin. That didn't even require a certificate. And I did this for my cousin. Because my cousin used to run around saying, stop pretending that 2020 was such a horrible year. And I'll admit this. I've been doing this 5.5 years. And my cousin says something more hilarious than I ever did. The idea that 2020 being a bad year required us to pretend. I ain't never written anything that hilarious. And I probably never will. I mentioned earlier that I grew up in Dorchester and Roxbury, but here's the catch. Have you ever found out something about yourself you didn't know prior to visiting Quincy, Massachusetts? This is where I prove I'm an idiot. Someone's walking down McGrath Highway saying, oh my God! My response, he's my God too! You're just selfish, that's your problem! Terrible and insulting people. I overanalyze my own dialogue. Go fuck yourself! No, you don't deserve the pleasure. Danny, where do you get off? No, that's your business. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to encroach. Before I dismount, I will reveal a couple of more truths about myself. I think earlier I said it's time to stop breeding. Here's why. We live in a world where you, every December 25th, love to glorify America's favorite overweight white home invader. Now, some of you call Santa Claus. And I'm not sure why. Why do we allow Santa Claus to get away with pedophilic voyeurism? And if you think I'm projecting that onto him, listen to the song. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake.